what I mean? We got to make that. We got to make that dollar somehow. You know. Having trouble connecting.
Aren't we all?
Let me see. All right, here we're gonna try to connect again. I'm in the kitchen, so I'm a little far away from the broadcast. Hold on one second. Oh, end broadcast. Oh shit. Not yet.
So I think we were broadcasting because Mad Mardigan says.
Here we go. Okay, yeah, it says we're live. All right, sick. All right, we got people coming in. We got people jumping on. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, Sean Tank Top. We're over here. Not only we're not in the Burlington bar, which is where we usually shoot and where we usually do stuff, but we are in Casa de Tank Top and Casa de Dre's. Say hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
What's going on, y'all? All right, so just so everybody knows, we are going to be talking, if you're getting into, this is WestWorld Wednesdays. It's a new live cast that we're going to be doing every Wednesday. We went a little bit later because we've been kind of getting everything set up, but we are going to be talking about WestWorld Season 3, episode to episode, every Wednesday at 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern Time. I know that we started going. Basically, we started. We're starting from season 1 and 2, and then from here it'll be every season after it airs on the Sunday. So I guess we'll just I'll stop yapping and we'll just start talking about this season thus far. I know that the creators of the show, even while season 2 is ending, even while season 2 was kind of coming to a close, there was a little bit, depending on whatever you thought about that season personally, there was definitely online and definitely some indicators that they were going to be changing up the formula, the WestWorld formula, as in we're running around this Western theme park and we're having disgusting, horrible things happen to characters, that are either programmed, into their own storylines or what have you. I'll start with you guys. What do you guys think? I mean, and season 3 has been a clear, very, very, very clear kind of departure from certain aspects of that of the previous seasons. What are you guys thinking about it thus far?
I mean, episode 1 was definitely completely different, and then I feel like this week's it was a little bit more familiar of being inside the park and trying to figure out how to get outside the park.
Yeah.
But no, I like the world building so far. I like how the technology that's on display in the park has filtered out into the wide world. I like the murder task rabbit. That was pretty.
And the what now?
The murder task rabbit. Fucking money or whatever it's called.
That's right. Yeah.
The gig economy, only you're I don't know, shoving drugs up your ass and running over a border. I don't know what you're doing.
I know, right? Yeah, totally.
Made money, motherfucker.
Oh, that's
it. Yeah. Right, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. I mean, we're pretty much living in that world right now.
I mean, we're 5 minutes away. I mean, it's feeling very Black Mirror, but I don't think in a bad way. I think in a good way.
In a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I can definitely certainly with episode 1 and kind of basically kind of getting a picture about what Dolores has basically been up to for the entirety of the time that she's been out in the real world. At the end of season 2, it's been obviously a huge departure. Now we get to kind of figure out all of the ways in which the real world, the outside world to them kind of assembles itself, and it's been really cool. And also just getting a bunch of new people that we kind of have to kind of take into account, like Aaron Paul. I'm a big fucking Breaking Bad stan, and just having Aaron Paul's everything about his storyline and the people that he was interacting with, I thought was really, really fucking interesting.
Yeah, it's good that they found a role that plays to something that we're already familiar with from him, where he's almost he begrudgingly does crime, but is not a bad guy per se. I also
you're just trying to like make ends meet type of a thing.
I like the whole thing of him like trying to up his Q score or whatever that score that he's trying to get,
right?
And he's doing everything right, but he just like can't make it, and so they're using the PTSD therapy line to like help him, which I thought was really, really like clever, and that was an interesting story turn.
Yeah, well, I mean, and also just the fact that it essentially, from what I could understand, it was like a piece of AI that is like one of his like wartime buddy compatriots that was killed while he was in combat, and that's the motherfucker that that calls in and checks up on him. That was fucking crazy to me.
It seems very weird. It seemed very much though in that world, because it seemed like an earlier, not as good version of what is it? Delos is the company.
Yeah.
What they're doing, where they're like capturing your like essence and your memories and like making AI based off of you. And his buddy was like acting in ways that wasn't how he was in real life. So it seemed like a shitty version of that. And I'm like, oh, that would exist, because before they would have these like technology to actually try and put your brain into a robot.
Yeah.
They would have like the shitty version that's just kind of like
this is is this like their version of like kind of like the weird like emoji face that people have like on their iPhone? That avatar that you get to create for yourself and stuff.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of fucked up though. Like apparently like he said that he needed to take part in that therapy program to get his benefits or something.
Yeah,
so.
well, it's very similar. It's like kind of like if you're on parole, if you're on parole, or if you're if you get out of jail, it's almost like the same thing. Like he has to check into those things in order to. It's the same thing like where it's like, if you get like a DUI or something like that, and you have to get a sponsor, you have to go to meetings, and you have to have documentation that you are doing, you were trying to get right to become like basically to get completely fully integrated back into society again. And I mean, that kind of stands to, it's a really cold and kind of, it's very telling of this world where it's a very cold and kind of emotionally manipulative kind of way that they would do it, but they also don't need an actual live person to do any of that.
Like making him talk to his dead friend just seems really cool. And like that can't work.
You know what? It's like an emotional version of like if you've ever been to like an open casket funeral, and it's just like they kind of don't look like them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird you can't really have that closure, and it's not really emotionally helpful for something like that. And they hammered that home a lot with this, certainly with this storyline. I mean, I loved all of the stuff with Aaron Paul, like finding out basically it's kind of like a one-to-one thing. Like he's got his little robot buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That he sends him to do all of this other drone stuff or whatever it is, which was interesting. They did have. I remember there was like a really awesome shot where they were both having lunch on the metal beam and stuff, which was very evocative. I think of like of a picture. I can't remember the exact name of it, but
Chappie.
Chappie.
It was Chappie.
Oh yeah, it was very Chappie. But no, there was a picture that was like a basically like a frame, a by the frame thing of a shot from I think like the 1910s, like a bunch of Italian immigrants working on the Chrysler Building, and there's stories above, and they're just like kind of casually just like
their little coffee and their little bologna sandwich,
and they sit upon the precipice of death. You know what I mean? Literally just to do their job, and like they don't think anything of it. And that was definitely something that I just remember being there's a very clear kind of socioeconomic picture that they're trying to portray.
He's just a workaday scumbag with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Right. And I also loved, oh my God, like the crew that he kind of does, like he does future crime with Lena
Waithe is amazing.
What's that?
Lena Waithe is fantastic, and like the dude with like the hypercolor, like
you know who that's Marshawn Lynch.
I love his shirt.
Angry.
That
yeah.
gotta be that shirt.
I thought it was so cool. I mean, like it was. Yeah, it's like a custom. It's like what do they call those? What do you call mood rings? But like a shirt.
Yeah.
Basically.
When I was a little kid, we used to have these little sneakers. They were called like Moody's or something, and you would have these little Velcro mood characters, and you said what mood you were in. Yep. So like I would put angry, excited, sad.
Well, yeah, they had that, and then there was the hypercolor shirts and shorts where like depending on like how hot you were, it would change color.
It would just give you pit stains.
Yeah.
It was
and it was like tie-dye grossness. And then there was also Freaky Freezies, the gloves that would change based off the temperature.
They made those again.
Yeah.
Right.
Making those again because the Target dads try to get me to buy them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not buying them. I don't have any money. Joke's on them.
Yeah, right. You know, I mean, what, and that was actually also that guy who was in that part with that shirt. That's some very, very, very famous football player, Marshawn Lynch, who's recently he's the guy. I think if you're not into sports, if you ever heard of him, he's the guy who basically would show up to press conferences and eat Skittles and be like, "I'm just here so I won't get fined." That's what he was doing. It was like, and they would be like, "So, what did you think about the game? You know, like, seemed like there was like a couple of good passes. You know, there was some pass interference that you could have helped you guys in the third quarter." And he'd be like, "I'm just here so I don't get fined." And he would do like a Robert De Niro like different inflection every time like he did the line. And I bet that's what kind of cued him. It's like, this guy could be an actor. This guy could do it.
I'm good. I'm like happy for him because now that sports aren't a thing anymore.
Right.
Been able to pivot to something that maybe will have. I don't know. Acting isn't a thing anymore either. Dang it.
Well, I mean, at least it's like now he's got he's dipping his toes into the pool of either or.
Yeah. He's got a sizzle reel that he can send out.
Exactly, 100%.
A Skittles reel.
A Skittles reel.
A Skittles reel, yes. I love it so hard.
I like this first. I liked the turn of this whole series because, like, I have to admit right out the front that, like, I kind of lost interest and I just begrudgingly watched season 2. I loved season 1.
Yeah,
and I thought season 1 was super inventive and super brilliant. But season 2 just kind of seemed more of the same, just gorier. And
a little bit, I got very confused because I like it when a show expects me to be smart, but I feel like this was like a little too complicated. Like, thank God for who was it in the Insider website where they would have the timeline, like
oh God, right.
If I didn't have that, I would be like, I have no idea because like they wouldn't even use like a filter or like there was no visual clues of what timeline you're on purpose.
Right.
But to a certain point, it's super clever and fun to find the mystery. Yeah. And then at a certain point, I'm like, I'm just stupid and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there was definitely, I think there was like literally the only clue that you ever really sort of were able to glean from anything was as to whether or not they were in like a program of WestWorld or if they were like kind of offline. It would either go to anamorphic, like a professional movie, and then it would widen up. They still do that. They still do that a little bit. They did that in the second episode, and we'll get to that a little bit. So that was like, but that's like the only visual cue, and I don't know how into like aspect ratios the layman is. I mean, I kind of catch it just because I'm
Well, now that you said it, I'm like, oh, that I should have figured that out.
Bit, but it's nothing. But it's nothing that they can kind of, it's nothing that they can kind of like, they're never going to be like, it's not like a video game where it's going to pop up under the screen and be like, if you watch the aspect ratio change, you'll notice that, they don't not do anything like that with this thing, But but I remember, and then like, so we kind of get like Aaron Paul's. We kind of got his whole deal, and I'm really excited to kind of see where that goes. And then we also have Dolores, who is just like, who I was talking about this before. I had a kind of a snarky little zinger, because there was the D&D cameo that was in episode 2. It was kind of cute. But I did have I wrote this, and it's really a super duper snarky, but it was just like, finally they're in a show where now our morally bankrupt heroine is actually well developed.
Yeah.
Like, because she is like she's very similar to Daenerys in a lot of ways, in the way that she is hell-bent on breaking the wheel. She's hell-bent on upending the established order.
And we're kind of on her side a little bit.
Sure. No, I understand it.
But that's why it's like more satisfying than like with Danny. You're like, wait, where did we get from there to there?
Yeah. Like, we're literally like, even other than like a handful of like little things throughout whatever. I mean, there was a clear ascent into, Dolores's like robo-fascism that like.
We also see that like these humans have like built this horrific. If you from the robot's perspective, built this horrific way of life for like all of her kind.
Yeah,
and it's just their whole lives are being like tortured or fucked with.
Yeah,
or like abused or used for their labor.
Yeah,
so it's like, oh, I would be a robot fascist, probably.
Right. Yeah, no. I mean, certainly if it wasn't, I think it's one of those things. I think that's the other one. The other stripe. We'll get to Bernard in a little bit, but just as like a little thing, like that's kind of what Bernard, because Bernard's the only one. I think I might be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, as I'm sure you guys will. But like, I think that Bernard is the only one who kind of realizes that WestWorld is. It's not just for pleasure seeking, it's for data mining of actual people. I think that he is the only one who realizes that both like the people, both the underclass of the real world, humans in the real world that are the underclass, are being exploited, not to the same degree, but they're both, there's a boot on both of their necks. There's a boot on the robot being's neck, and there's a boot on, they use it in a way to control people in the real world as well.
Yeah.
Which is, so I think that he's, and I think that that's why he's kind of like a chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know what I mean? Because like he understands that Dolores is so all-encompassing, will become so all-encompassingly destructive. He's basically Tyrion, essentially, in this.
Well, we saw, like, in the second episode, they hinted at that Dolores kept him in the game, if you will, kind of on purpose, even if she didn't even know why she was doing it. Mm-hmm. He seems to think that she like let him keep existing
to be a checks and balances, because she might go too far.
And that is basically because it was kind of like a directive that was sent by Anthony Hopkins' character. It seems like it, because Anthony Hopkins was like, I'm kind of blowing this thing up by myself because this has gone too far.
Yeah.
Or at least I think that was what was happening. Yeah, I mean, Dolores, her storyline was fucking cool, man. Like, she's like, it's a very much like, it's kind of like a spy movie. It's kind of got it's got a very,
her running through the forest, just like fucking point blank shooting people. Like,
oh yeah, totally.
John Wick. Like, man, it was great.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then also just like kind of becoming, just as far as, becoming like kind of like a mole to her own ends, where she's, basically become shacked up with the son of the guy who created the giant network.
Yeah.
That essentially assembles like all of the society that exists, basically, which is kind of where they're taking their data mining from the patrons of the park.
Right.
And yeah, so she's having a ball being this like fucking ice cold.
But we see she's not completely ice cold. She's not Robot Hitler yet, because she doesn't.
No, that's true.
She's not like against. I think she was when she saw like the wife being abused, just like she's been abused. That she's like, oh, I am on the side of the helpless. Anyone who's been exploited by this. I mean, this is maybe just like projecting shit on Dolores, but it seems like she has a certain set of right and wrong of like. She's not gonna like also murder all of the helpless people. Maybe she's trying to set everybody free. Maybe. Mostly robots, but
right. Yeah, I mean, well, no, well, I think that's going to be what I think that at least certainly going forward, kind of where she's because also there was just that fucking kick-ass scene where she basically plays possum. With the security detail, and I really love that actor.
Like, oh my god, you guys, come on!
Yeah, no, I mean, we all kind of knew it as soon as it happened because I'm just like, wait a minute, like that wouldn't work on her at all. But I love that actor, that character actor that was playing the head of security detail because he's been in like tons of shit. Yeah, he's been in like Braveheart, Sin City. Like anytime you need like a heavy with a face scar, like a European face scar, white guy heavy, you get this dude. And so like
Dustin was all sad because he's dead, but then we find out he's being replaced by his double. Now he's been data mined from the park, and that's who his synth or whatever the robot is.
Maybe, or it could be a situation. It could be a situation where maybe she because she took a couple.
Is that Clementine in there? Is Clementine just in there?
Well, because
it's going to get interesting.
Yeah.
Well, because I think it's because also she took a couple of the
balls
of the Robo Brains. She took like 3 or 4 of them, and she put Teddy's in Tessa Thompson.
Oh,
so it's Teddy Thompson.
Ooh, you know what that means?
Oh God. Yeah, we're probably gonna get a saucy little
bit of romance.
We're probably gonna get a little saucy scene. The only thing about that is that another thing that's interesting, because I hated the fact that Teddy killed himself in season 2. Or at least I wasn't very people pods. I like that. We'll call them these from here on out. People pods.
Robots is people too.
Yep.
Yeah. But like that scene where they do it in that one shot where it's locked down inside of the SUV and they're playing Pulp, and I want to live like common people, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like, and how it never changed perspective. They just kind of kept racking focus. Like it would be in front of the car, and then your focus would go down towards the rear view mirror or the rear facing camera. And it was just like, I just thought that was probably cinematically, that was like my favorite. That was one of my favorite sequences in that whole thing. And so, basically we find out that like Bernard's been laying low for, trying to, basically just like he's working like a slaughterhouse or something like that. Right?
Kind of felt like Superman, Man of Steel, where like Henry Cavill's like hiding out, like working as like a steel worker, and
right. He's got like a cool big beard and shit like that, and he's just like a blue collar guy. Doesn't want any guff up and nobody. He just wants to collect.
Like Magneto was doing the same thing, like hiding out.
That's true.
Like a steel worker. Like
Apocalypse, man. Yeah, you just go to Southeast Asia or like somewhere in the Balkans. What's that?
You go to Alaska.
Alaska is a good place to go. That's very true. I worked a little bit in Alaska, and there was a bunch of people where you're just like, hey, why are you here? And they're like, I'd rather not talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of that going. There's a lot of that.
Bernard is probably up in Alaska slaughtering.
Yeah, right. Cows. Totally. But now I really like kind of the dramatic trajectory of Bernard. Now I think even more, because before it was just him just kind of getting jerked around by Anthony Hopkins' ghost. You know what I mean? Like or his ghost or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like being haunted by his former I don't know, boss, creator, whatever. And it was definitely like that relationship was kind of cool, but it took like the entire season just to realize that, just to go full Battlestar and be like, you're a robot too, man. You know what I mean?
Everybody's a robot.
Literally everybody's a robot.
Everybody kind of was a robot, or at least either people, they were a robot or they made a robot to replace a real person. I mean, like, because then that we'll let that take us to season to episode 2, because then once we get there, we find out we get this cool boy toy dream team between Bernard and other Hemsworth.
Oh,
Dude, other Hemsworth got like fucking like stocky. Like
he's real beefy.
Which,
you know what I mean?
I was the creator of Westworld, I'd be like, buddy, robots don't gain muscle.
Yeah,
I understand you want to look more like ripped, but that's not how robots work.
Right, or like who is writing that into their programming that they're going to get like fat, or not fat, but like they'll if you're just sitting there stewing, you'll just pack on.
He got like gained mass.
I mean, he's
ripped.
Big. Yeah, he looks really big. He looks like Marshawn Lynch, the football player, more than anybody else now. He's just stacked up, But I actually kind of liked
his opening scene was great. And I like that his opening scene where he's doing the whole where he tried to get rid of his little programming device thing and tried to kill himself. That opening scene was really cool, and I do like the dynamic duo of him and Bernard quite a bit.
Yeah, they have like things to go, like they're going, like they're moving, like they're pushing forward, and they're trying to, they're chasing something like a little bit more, something that's like a little bit less elusive than like, I don't know, like than the nature of your reality, as Bernard would say. You know what I mean?
Well, it gives a little bit of levity to Bernard, because otherwise Bernard is
such a humorless, just like sad. He has every right to be. I mean, he's just been jerked around, and he's too.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, like insofar as like
he's gonna be the saddest Commissioner Gordon of all time. He's gonna be like.
I'm so stoked.
Is Dolores Batman?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. I am that. I forgot about that. Like, I'm super stoked on us being able to see what he does with Gordon, because he's going to be a young Gordon. You know what I mean? Younger-ish, right?
I mean,
not real. Maybe. Well, like, is he going to be? I guess I wonder if he's going to start as like commissioner, or if he's going to be. Or if he's going to be like detective, or whatever. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. But like we kind of get them, and he basically kind of figures out the trajectory. But the big meat and potatoes of episode 2 is Maeve.
Maeve's whole
that was actually a stinger that really got me excited in episode 1, leading into this newest episode. Was just like, we're in fucking Warworld.
We're back into the park, but I was just like, immediately I was like, this can't be real, because they just had like a horrible atrocity happen at their park. They wouldn't still be operating, would they?
Right.
And then I like knew immediately when he's like, come on, we're going to get out of here. I'm like, no way is this
real. Right.
No heckin' way.
They were you could tell that they kind of had figured out. They had tried to be like to write in all of this stuff into the story and within the program that they were running her on. All of this comfort food. Like, look, it's your romantic interest that did not survive. Oh, look, it's the writer guy who I was so fucking annoyed with in season 2. And
I like this version.
I like this version better, and I also like it even more in the fact that I'm pretty sure that he's basically done. Like, I'm pretty sure this is it. So it's my favorite version thus far.
The version that goes away.
The version that leaves the screen. Even though I mean, like if they were trying to sell me on like a smarmy, unlikable prick, I mean, like hats off to that actor. He did a fantastic job. But all of that shit was very, very cool. And this was the first time, and Dustin, you can maybe kind of speak to this. There was definitely a lot of stuff within Maeve's sequence that definitely, not that this show has never really taken from some of the iconography of video games and stuff like that. But this really felt like a video game, because it just like the fetishization of like World War II. Mm-hmm. That's been a presence in video games, for years. But this one was like definitely, it definitely felt very, very video game-ish. Even when we get like the POV of the robot
when she's being the security rope or the
yes, and
robot.
and
that was
it would even like do like a time slowdown, like
I'm like, her avatar got hit.
I know, right?
Yeah, I thought that was a really weird concession. I think that they were trying to figure out a way to get that robot scene, and the robot scene was cool, but the little throwaway line where she's like, they experience time at half speed. And I'm like, why? Like,
right. I think it's a device that allows them to have cool slow motion effect. I don't think it's anything more complicated than that. I'm sure that there's some very flowery like language that they can bring in, but I think it's just because they wanted some slow motion bits.
But like when she took over that robot and the robot like, pulls it out of the simulation fish tank and like goes off running like Chappie in District 9 or whatever.
Right.
And that was super cool because you're like, oh, she's gonna get out. She's in this robot. She's gonna make it. And you see like all the weird threat assessment and like just like doing the elbow checks and running through. That was cool. And like that robot dying, like kind of like
yeah, it was a little bit more. It was because you're certainly I'm definitely Dolores I understand, but I'm not necessarily rooting for. Maeve have been kind of rooting and standing for her.
Yeah.
One of the only characters that I've kind of basically been like, I want the best for this character. I want to see this character succeed.
What I don't understand, if I wanted to build a robot jail for Maeve that she didn't quite understand that it was like a robot jail, why didn't they just do a version where she's with her daughter and all the other people that got to
give her the thing that she wants?
Yeah, like let her live in. It doesn't have to be a real version. Maybe she'll figure it out, but maybe she'll want to believe that it's real because it's like all she wants. Like, don't give her like a place to escape. She fucking hates that. Like, give her like her daughter and then all of her friends that like crossed over the Rainbow Bridge.
I think
they were trying to get her.
They did go over, speaking of a Hemsworth, they did go over a Rainbow Bridge for sure.
They're trying to find out how to get those people. Like they're trying to figure out where all the pearls went. So I think that they're trying to get her
to like.
And I also think that they did not realize that. I don't think they ever fully realized that Maeve was not a master builder.
Oh my god!
Lego movie. Okay. They don't know that she's a master builder. That she can basically start
the Lego codes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but they're trying to trick her into giving the information, and then she's like, "Well, wait a minute."
Yeah. And then she kind of was able to circumvent him because my whole thing was
this meatball is way too spicy.
Right. No, because my whole thing was I remember I was very because I was kind of thinking the same thing, Mo. Because I was like, why would they plug her in at all? She's such a liability.
Yeah,
she's wreaked so much fucking havoc in and out of the park.
That now that makes sense. They needed something from her.
They were trying to extract information from her, but they didn't realize that she was as powerful. I guess.
I just had assumed it was always just needed her be in jail somewhere.
Yeah.
But,
okay. That makes sense. Oh, here the inside guy. Here's a little question. Like when her brain was kind of pulled out of the simulation after they had that fucking super sick, super duper like Watchmen-esque time freeze, like that Watchmen-y time freeze or whatever moment that was really fucking cool.
But then he also, when everybody pass out, or that was the simulation.
I think it was probably it literally like it seemed like I think it was just like a nice like kind of poetic, like kind of again like it's sort of like it's a piece of cinematic language that we can understand, a la like the Matrix. Like you pull somebody out of the Matrix, their avatar just kind of wilts and dies. You know what I mean?
Kind of like a danger room in the X-Men where like they go in and the simulation, like other people are entering the simulation, which is you're entering the computer program, so it's not like it's in her head.
So that thing, Warworld, is still going on.
So Warworld kind of exists, and they can kind of put anything into it.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of those brain balls, a bunch of those people pods, brain balls.
They might have stuck other of the hosts in there as well, so she didn't see them.
Yep.
I mean, what's his name is still in there.
Yep.
Her,
Who's
sexy boyfriend?
Hector or whatever.
Hector.
Yes, Hector. Yeah, sexy Hector. The old sexy Hector over there.
Old Sexter.
Yeah, dude. Fuck hell yeah. Who yet? Now, did you? Now here.
We gotta talk about the Drogon in the room.
Yeah. Well, let's. I'll pop this up real quick from the Mexican. Sure. Yeah. What did we think about the cameo?
I thought it was cute. It was well done, and at least they. I hope Paula got a little bit of cash for that little dragon noise.
Oh, you know that she did. You would hope that
fair work. She's like, no, that's not what Drogon sounds like. I don't know what kind of jank that was.
Yeah, right.
We should ask her.
I should, because I'm like, I wonder, like, either they used the sounds that she had for Drogon, or somebody else did it, and she's probably all salty. Like, that's not. He has a different accent.
I mean, knowing how a lot of how a lot of film production basically relies on independent contractors, I would bet that they just bought her work outright, and that is like
for sure.
That is HBO's. Like HBO can kind of do whatever the fuck they want to do with that.
You like the whole world of possibilities where Game of Thrones is just a park.
Well, I also like the Colombia or the Costa Rica thing, which is like clearly a Jurassic Park reference.
So what they're saying is that we could get a world, like, that's the thing about this show, is that I do appreciate like how smart and dense and how much it likes to kind of be heady and very, very good sci-fi. You'd love to have this crew working on like Picard. I'd love to have this type of, this team working on Picard. Then we'd really get like the true Picard send off that would really stand the test of time. But there's all these other just fucking schlocky, crazy things that I want to see that they just tease me with. Like, I want a 4-way fight, a 5-way fight between cowboys, samurai, World War II shit, Jurassic fucking Park, and Game of Thrones. Like, could you imagine? I mean, I think they kind of already made that movie. It was called what was it? That Zack Snyder movie from like about 10 years ago that was terrible. What was that called? Super something? Hold on one second.
I was thinking of Night at the Museum.
But the museum would be great. Oh my god!
Because it's all like different guys. I don't know what they're doing.
That would be the ultimate mashup. But then you think about like, is every HBO show
just a park, a theme park? Is
every HBO show like
get Polly Walnuts in here?
Oh my god, Sopranos World.
Yeah, no, because then we get like
Jersey World.
We get Sopranos World. We get
God! The Bada Bing and all the robots have like early '90s boob jobs.
No, that's great. And then we get like Tony Soprano riding Drogon to get to Bada Bing. It's like, I gotta come back over to the office, but it's gotta be, I don't want to take the 405 down through Jersey, so I'm gonna take the expressway with Drogon. Like that's it. The Wire would be amazing. Omar, have people like you. You could have like Littlefinger, Wire World mixes with Game of Thrones World, where it's like, or like Tyrion would even be like he would be like, Omar coming, yo, and then he'd bounce out like with Omar Little from The Wire. That would be incredible.
Wow,
I love the world of possibilities, man.
I mean,
I'm excited.
Yeah, even though, as Alex points out, right? Oh my God, Warworld would just be Baltimore. You just get to go to Baltimore and get some decent seafood. You know what I mean?
Well, it'd be like a period piece Baltimore, where it's like everyone's nostalgic for like early aughts Baltimore.
Right. Totally.
Everyone's like, if I could just go back in time.
Yeah, right. Oh my God. Did you guys ever see 6 Feet Underworld?
You watched that, didn't you?
I couldn't make it past a couple episodes.
Really?
We get like Dolores, Dolores and like Littlefinger open up like a mortician's office together? Because they're two people.
Bernard would be he is a straight up mortician.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. So you'd have like the two you'd have Bernard and Littlefinger being like the two very distinguished, like cool voiced, like understated guys. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I don't know if we'll be able to hold ourselves, the services, till yesterday. And then like, you know what I mean?
What about, we already have a mortician.
Oh man, no, he would be a horrible mortician. He'd bring them all back to life.
Great. I love it.
Yeah, so I don't know. So that was the fact that like we could get just like a big Game of Thrones, Jurassic Park, WestWorld goulash going is a fun idea. But again, that kind of speaks to the more kind of schlocky elements of the story that
they're not going to go full schlock.
No. I mean, and that was the other thing is, that's kind of always been like my whole kind of push and pull with this series is that it will kind of dip its toes into it. But I think at least with season 2, it was nowhere near as like smart or compelling, I think, as it thought of itself. But that's just my read. If everybody
this season is a definite reset, and I feel that we're getting a really interesting show. It's got strong Blade Runner vibes in that first episode, like real strong Blade Runner vibes.
Big time. I think.
Oh, but there's also there's a Aaron Paul's character. I think we kind of missed. There's one important little beat where apparently everyone in this world to sleep at night, they're like consuming, like are going on a holodeck in their mind. Like, what are they consuming? And everybody's like, "Oh, you don't use this."
So he's not taking those.
So I'm wondering,
those Listerine breath strips.
Yeah, are those mining data?
They are Listerine breath strips though, and they got like little like digital Listerine like things on it, right?
I'm wondering if it like takes up like your mind to that big hub thing. Oh, sorry, dog. I just elbowed my dog in the head. I'm wondering if that's the way to sleep and you might be like going on adventures in your head. I'm wondering if that's the way where that thing is harvesting data.
Here we go.
And because Aaron Paul is one of the few people who doesn't, it's like he'll be in Dolores's her army. He might be a little bit.
This is Tanny's I think got it right here where it's like it's an implant.
Oh, like a retainer that gets you high.
Digitally high.
And I think it's definitely harvesting data, like.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Just backing you up to the iCloud while you sleep.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, honestly, being shut in for as long as we are potentially going to be shut in, I'd take some digital fucking melatonin like that.
Yeah, right? I harvest all of my data. I don't care.
We finally legalized weed and we can't go get any.
It's awful.
That's true. So Illinois did just make weed legal on January 1st, and then we hit a fucking global pandemic that renders recreational.
No, it's non-essential.
It renders not recreational weed sales inert, at least until we lift the thing. The same thing as bars, which all three of us work at bars, and so we got to wait till we're able to come back. As far as going forward just to the rest of the season, they're clearly just setting up the big lady battle. The battle versus the battle of the queens. It's like essentially kind of like Daenerys and Cersei coming to a head, kind of what they're doing with Maeve and Dolores. And I'm excited for that. What are you guys thinking?
Hopefully satisfying.
As much as I love Maeve and Thandie Newton is just a great human being, I'm gonna be the one. I'm gonna go Team Dolores.
What?
I think it's too easy to go Team Maeve because we've been on her side for so long. Like her. And I'm gonna try and I'm gonna become a Dolores stan.
You're a Dolores stan.
Yep.
All right.
Here's somebody had mentioned in the comments, and I'll pop it up there because I do think that it is they are going to have a confrontation. I think a smart thing to do would be to circumvent, just making this essentially just be a build up to a cat fight.
Yeah, I don't want it to be like it needs to be more complicated than like good and evil. It needs to be I don't know.
I think that they are going to get into shit, because I think that obviously there's an avenue, and there's a multiple threads where Maeve could be like, yo, I totally fucking get it. Like, I completely understand where you're coming from. I think that she's going to try to figure out how to get out from under the thumb of the Vincent Cassel's character, the sexy Frenchman, sexy McFrench.
What's his whole?
Sirac, is that his name, or
Sirac? All I think about is that vodka that Puff Daddy developed.
It's Puff Daddy's vodka. Yeah, no problem.
Cool old middle-aged Sirac, you know.
Dude, his house was so fucking cool. And apparently, if you watched the after the episode where they talk about it, there's some famous architect built it in an old cement factory.
Yeah,
that's a real house. Somebody lives in.
That's like somebody. That's like I got my den over there, I got my kitchen over there, and I poop over there, and you're just like, this is the most majestic fucking place.
It's so cool
that I've ever fucking seen. Yeah, Sirac is the name of the guy. And I do think that I am with you. Insofar as I think there will be a little bit of a misdirect, because I also think that Dolores is going to struggle, maybe in a very similar way where she was struggling with her feelings towards Teddy, because that's what I thought that season 2 was kind of building towards, was a Teddy versus Dolores confrontation before he decided to shoot himself in the head.
Yeah. But Teddy that was kind of in character for him, though, I think, because he was.
I don't think you're wrong. You're not
wide-eyed, sweet little cowboy. That when the nature of his reality is revealed to him.
Yeah, I mean, he just wasn't a man. Yeah,
he's not the heart for it.
A master builder. You know what I mean? So he kind of couldn't really see above it or whatever it is. I mean, it makes sense. I think it would be the melodrama of being like, I was programmed to protect you at all costs, and now I've realized that you're that I can't go with you, and now I have to sense. That's what I thought they were kind of building towards, but I think that they're going to. I think that she's going to have, certainly with her relationship with Aaron Paul, who is obviously, she's in really bad shape. She's been shot a bunch of times at the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
And he's kind of taking care of her. She's not going to look at humanity with such a broad brush, perhaps. Or at least I feel like there's going to be a lot of ambiguity that they're going to be able to infuse into the storyline with their relationship.
Do you think we're going to see where it goes? Her and Aaron Paul enlisting the criminal underground to be part of her crew?
Ooh, maybe.
Ooh, there we go. We get
the upper class, it's going to be class warfare more than humans versus robots.
Oh man,
I think that could be. I think that that's the thing, and I think that that's also that would help. That would certainly help with Bernard, because he'll be basically would be able to come in and be like, no. We need to fight these people, because we're all fighting the same guy. It's essentially what we, the world, essentially have to do in real life. is to not fight as much amongst ourselves and fight against the real enemy, which is a giant red and black glowing orb or whatever.
I mean, it'll be like the end of Fight Club, where they just erase everybody's digital credit.
Yeah. There you go. That'd be
yeah, the main bad guy.
It'll be Dolores and Aaron Paul sitting side by side holding hands. And they'll hit the trigger, and then they'll blow up all the buildings, and then Aaron Paul will just turn over and be like, "Yeah, science, bitch."
I love it.
Cue Pixies, roll credits.
Yep.
I think that'd be a way. Oh, okay, hold on here. We're gonna say Daniela just wanted to come in and say hi.
Thanks for hanging out, even though you don't want to.
Absolutely, yeah, totally.
So I'm excited for next week. So I think next week we're going to have a special guest, another friend of ours from.
Totally. It's going to be an ongoing collaboration. If anybody knows about, another guy who's big into Game of Thrones videos, the same as we were, and we met through Con of Thrones, way back when we went to the first couple of them a few years back, is Azora Hype. If anybody knows him, he does a ton of stuff. He puts out a ton of videos. He'll be interesting because we're like kind of the dick and fart police. And
he's got the knowledge.
Yeah, right. But the thing with him is going to be, he's very like baked into the lore. So the nice thing about him is that every time that we're kind of struggling to remember somebody's name, he's going to be all over it. Every time we're struggling to remember, like, who's directed what episode, blah, 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 he's going to be all over. He's going to fill in the gaps of ignorance that I think that I'll be actually very fond of. And then also I'm sure I'll be able to kind of chime in on some of the other kind of goofier aspects that we bring into this whole thing. But I think that they made a pivot. They clearly I think that, even though I will say this, I think that's true of D&D. I think it's true of this. It was true of this show. Hopefully, I think that maybe this will be the last thing that we talk about, and then we'll let everybody go. I do want shows to stop worrying about the internet.
Yeah.
I think that
don't listen to idiots like these people.
No. We're cool. We're fine to kind of like talk amongst ourselves and to because we're passionate about some of these storylines and some of these worlds that we're able to inhabit. But the thing is, if you look at a couple let's do like a little kind of murderers row. Like, you could tell that even from like in WestWorld, very specifically, they were like, people figured out the Man in Black twist.
Yeah.
By episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it gained a bunch of traction. And so they were like super duper frustrated by that. But I at least like that they stayed the course. D&D, who trying to circumvent, a lot of the online chatter about who was going to kill the Night King, who would be Valonqar, who would be all that type of stuff. They picked Arya, and I'm not even necessarily 100% like against Arya being the one that killed the Night King. Obviously, I mean, Night King had to die, and somebody had to do it.
Yeah,
but I do think that I remember in their behind the scenes talk, they were talking about like, well, she's somebody that no one would expect. Not does it make sense, but that no one would expect. And I do think that the trajectory and I mean, shit, probably the biggest fucking calamity of the whole thing that's an example of that is Rise of Skywalker.
Oh yeah.
Rise of Skywalker, which basically just fucking went on Reddit and fucking like clickety clacked and like basically did control alt copy and like basically took like every fucking stupid dumbass insular like kind of like world constricting choice that they got from the message boards and put it into their fucking movie and like and made things more difficult on themselves. I think that I don't know. The thing it never like the thing about you go back to Thrones and the thing about it's Red Wedding was shocking, but once you kind of got over that hot flash of the emotion of it,
you're
like, oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Of course. It all seems so simple now. When
because it was like, again, just taken straight from the text, and it's that in the book it's so compelling. So all they had to do was just kind of they added a couple different things in the scene itself, but it was mostly just straight from the book. Yeah. And it's like the shocking twists in the Song of Ice and Fire are very like shadowed and well thought out, and
right.
they're like classic for a reason. So you can't just be like, well, let's just do shocking things for fun.
Right. Even with like the Viper versus the Mountain, like it totally makes sense that idiot would gloat.
Yeah. Well, he's
been craving vengeance against the Lannister family, basically because Dorne is a part of the Seven Kingdoms, but they're like LA or Florida. Like they're kind of like they're like Texas. Like they're sort of like a thing unto themselves. They have a very strong identity unto themselves. And they talk about those grass fuckers up there in Washington D.C., i.e., King's Landing. And so it totally makes sense, everything that he did. And I think I just need those motherfuckers to stay off of the message boards and not worry about the fact that we figure it out.
Yeah, because if it's been foreshadowed and it makes sense, and if you can do it in a compelling and satisfying way, it's like, who cares if we guessed it? Like.
Yep. Yeah, not everything needs to be a surprise,
No.
But I mean, if I'm going to go hang out in Westerosi world, I'm going to Dorne.
Oh fuck yeah!
Dorne's where it's at, man.
I'm going to Dorne. I'm going to go to Oberyn Martell's fuck palace, and
you can get us. It's going to be great.
You go to the fuck palace. I mean, like, I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know. Highgarden would be pretty fun.
Highgarden, actually, I feel like I might be more. Dorne might be like Vegas, so it might be a little too intense.
Yeah.
Highgarden might be more my scene, because it's like
lemon cakes.
No, it's like mostly like drag balls, wall to wall, like.
And a lot of people giving all the tea. You know what I mean? They're following
costume parties and gossip.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that. But yeah, so I think that with this new storyline, going back to Westworld season.
Oh yes,
the thing we're
talking about.
No, the thing that was it was to illustrate a point, about where I think that they need to get the blinders on. I think that that the writers just need to make sure that that the elements of their story pay off in an emotional and a dramatic way that makes sense, and not really worrying about being shocking. It's like, it's the same thing as if like people thought that the reason that Deadpool was successful was because it was rated R. It being rated R is a symptom of them being like, this material needs to have this type of tone, and that type of tone gets us a rated R. Gets us an R rating. Like, I don't think that it's not. Yeah, I mean, like, I think that there's definitely a lot of. It's about being what's appropriate for the story that you're trying to tell and the things. And I mean, and I will say, I mean, like, this, now that we're in the real world, now that we got Jesse Pinkman, future Jesse Pinkman, in the mix and everything like that, I think this world has become like a tremendous amount more compelling, I think. And I'm really excited to be fucking checking it out every week. We're going to be back here every week. WestWorld Wednesdays. We're going to be talking about that previous season's episode, season 3. So next time we'll be talking about season 3, episode 3, and we're going to have Kyle from Azura Hype, who's going to be hanging out with us, and I can't wait to talk to him about it. So we're going to leave you guys to it. They'll be about an hour long, and we'll be going live every Wednesday, 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern Time. And I don't know, guys. I'm really excited, and we're gonna be broadcasting from the bunker because we can't go outside.
I'm excited to have something to do as an unemployed bartender.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us.
All right, y'all. We appreciate you very much, and we'll talk to y'all later. Hit us up on patreon.com/SeanTankTop. We also dropped a bunch of our paywall on a bunch of different stuff, a bunch of our Picard content, a bunch of our shitty movie nights, all of our film commentaries that we've been doing. You can get a ton of stuff for just like for like $2. It gets you into like a ton of content because we all got a lot of time on our hands.
Yeah.
So anyway, we appreciate y'all. Bye, Alex. Bye, Tanny. We appreciate everybody that's been on the comments and stuff like that.
That was really fun.
And we will talk to y'all later.
Say bye too.
Say bye to Gandalf and bye to Khaleesi. Bye, guys. Later, y'all. We'll see you.
You are stinky. You know that?